What's up? It's Willie McGinnis, three-time Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots, and I'm hanging out with my man Chris Palme, okay? Chris does a podcast, 30 Minutes Live with CDP Podcast, every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and his YouTube channel. Make sure everybody tunes in, okay, to my man Chris Palme's podcast. Again, it's every Wednesday and Friday night on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you guys check him out.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live with CDP podcast on this Wednesday, July 28th. And it's hard to believe August is only this Sunday. So anyways, guys, I'm looking forward to my podcast today. My guest is Lauren Brill, the founder and creator of the Unsealed. And she's a former sports reporter with WIVB Channel 4 in Buffalo and WEWS, I can speak, Channel 5 in Cleveland as well. I'm looking forward to talking to Lauren about her career as a sportscaster for those stations in Buffalo and Cleveland, and now what she's starting her own business called the Unsealed. So if you guys can just give me a minute, I will bring Lauren on today, and I'm looking forward to speaking with her, and I really appreciate her time today. So I'm just going to put her on right now.
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear and see me okay?
I can hear and see you okay.
Okay, no problem. Because I sometimes things freeze up or stuff like that with the Wi-Fi connection and that. I always checking that, but I really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you for having me. And I have a little extra person, or a little, not person, but a little extra friend with us today so that he keeps quiet. If I hold him, he's quiet. If he's off seeing and hearing things, he makes noise. So he's going to join us too.
No worries. I forgot what was your dog's name again?
Wiley.
Wiley. Okay. How old is he now?
He's 8.
Wow. So almost a senior. Not quite a senior yet.
Not quite. He's still pretty crazy.
Crazy, yeah. So my last guest, Christine Lisi, had her dogs too on the show.
The only way I can keep him quiet is if I hold him.
Yeah, no worries. That's fine. No worries. Like I said, I really I appreciate you coming on today. So, yeah, like I said, I guess the NBA draft is tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to the Pistons. I'm hoping they don't trade that number 1 pick because the Pistons need a franchise player, and I think the guy from Oklahoma State, Cade Cunningham, is supposed to be the consensus number 1 pick in the draft.
We shall see. Never know.
Yes. Well, the NBA is a star-driven league, so and the Pistons really haven't had a franchise player since Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars and stuff like that. I'm a huge Pistons fan, by the way.
They had some good years back in the day.
Yes, they did. So, but they've got some young players on that team, and I'm just hoping with this draft they can add more. So we'll see what happens. And I know the NHL free agency is today as well. So we'll see. I'm a huge Detroit sports fan.
Interesting. I see you were in that.
Yeah. Yes. And also, I guess the Eagles training camp opens today, too. So I'm not making no predictions for the Eagles this year. I know last year I predicted them to win 11 games, and they ended up with 4 wins. So all I'm going to say is I think the Eagles should be improved this year, but I'm not sure how much.
Yeah, we'll see. I remember you said you were a big Eagles fan.
Yes, and I do like the fact that they brought in Joe Flacco to back up Jalen Hurts, and they brought in Nick Mullins, a third-string quarterback from the Niners, and Nick Sirianni, I believe, is very familiar. Like, I think you or somebody else was telling me that he's very similar to Frank Wright coaching style.
I don't think it was me. I don't think it was me.
Okay, but I'm looking forward to, I think, the new coaching staff, and we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the NFL starting up in the CFL as well.
I'm excited for the season to start, too. I like the NFL. It's a nice little distraction from the craziness of our world right now.
Well, compared to a year ago, we had no sports on for 4 months.
I know, crazy.
So, and now I'm going to have the NFL starting up soon, the CFL, which I'm a huge CFL fan, and then college football starts up too at the end of August, September. So this is going to be a good time of the year for sports.
Yeah, definitely. I know you wanted to talk about the Unsealed, right?
Yeah, we're going to get to that now. You okay starting the questions then?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, and then some of my unsealed questions are in too. Before I get to the unsealed questions in a few minutes, I'll play the video clip that you gave me last night, and then we'll go in from that video clip into the questions and stuff like that.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, first question I want to ask you, Lauren, is can you just tell my audience here in Canada or Ontario, where I'm based out of, just a little bit about yourself, and when did you know you wanted to pursue a career as a sports reporter?
I wanted to pursue a sportscasting career as early as 10 years old. I used to go to hockey games with my dad, New York Rangers games, actually. I lived in New York. And it was the year after the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. And I was at a game. I was at I think it was the last game of the season. They lost the year after in the playoffs. And this woman came up to me and she was like, "Hey, I noticed you like with your dad walking along, and I used to go to games with my dad, and I'm a VP for ABC Sports, and I have an extra seat in the front row. How would you like to sit with me?" I was like, "Peace out, Dad." Like, I'm watching the playoffs from front row. And I started talking to this woman and learned a little bit about her career in TV. And all of a sudden it like dawned on me, like, I could get paid to go to sporting events. Like, this is an awesome idea. And so, and I was a really good athlete and I always loved sports. So that's when the dream was born. I decided at 10 years old that I would be a sportscaster so that I could get paid to go to sporting events and get good seats and things of that nature. But then as I got older, I really fell in love with storytelling. And first it was storytelling about sports and athletes, but then it's expanded into more.
Okay. When I was younger too, I loved playing sports and talking sports. I just wish, Lauren, they had this platform 25, 30 years ago, because it would have made my choice of going to college for broadcasting a lot easier. But you know what? It's never too late to switch careers. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I actually didn't go to school for broadcasting.
Oh.
I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster, but my dad told me, go to the best school you can get into and major in something somewhat generic. And then if you want to pursue broadcasting after that, go for it. But just get a foundation. Just get a foundation in something that can be applicable to different things. So I went to Columbia University, which is a great school, and I had a great experience. And I majored in sociology, and I wrote all my papers about the social impact of sports. But I kind of followed my dad's advice and got a really solid foundation as far as education. And then I went into sports after, and I interned during college. I actually started working in sports my junior year. I started working for the NBA, and my senior year they hired me as a full-time writer out of college. And I started writing for WMA.com, I think first semester of my senior year. I can't remember, first semester or second semester, but I was writing for them by the time I was 20.
Okay. You answered my second question. I was going to ask you about where you went to school. So I was going to say, that's another thing I'm learning on too, listening skills, because sometimes you ask a guest one question and they can give you the answer to 5 other ones you want to ask. So that's something I'm still working on, I've been told. I was going to say, I obviously you told us where you went to school. I always ask this of my guests. Did you have any mentor or mentors when you were first starting out in the industry, Lauren?
Oh, I had a million. I had a lot of mentors, thankfully, at different points. And I still have a lot of mentors today. Willard Ogan was amazing when I started my first internship at CBS my sophomore year of college. He really introduced me to storytelling and how to write a story. And we had an assignment that we had to do one package during the semester, 1 2-minute package. We all picked topics. And I come back the next day with 200 pages highlighted about this topic. And he's like, "This is a little much for a 2-minute story. Why don't you do a documentary?" So I did a 40-minute piece instead of a 2-minute piece. And he really facilitated that and used that as an opportunity to teach me the craft. And as I said, I wasn't going to school for broadcasting, so I really learned under him and through his mentorship. And he taught me how to write. That is 100%. I mean, not 100%. There were some other people that helped me learn to write, but a big part of where I learned to write and tell stories started with him. And then I went to MSG Varsity, and Leandra Riley, well, that's her maiden name, Leandra Riley. I can't think of her name right now, but she was Leandra Riley. She was the first woman to do play-by-play for a basketball game. And she spent so much time with me teaching me about on-camera presence. And so many different things. And she was amazing. She really was amazing. And there's just been so many people, from executives at ESPN to bosses, my boss in Buffalo, Joe Schlarf. There's just been so many people that have cared about my career, that have cared about me, and that have helped me along the way. And Willie Parker was also at that internship when I was at CBS, and he still supports me today and is still a mentor today. I mean, there's so many people, and I'm so grateful and so humbled. Ron and Sana from CNBC. So, I mean, there's just so many people, and people, I reached out, but then for most of the people, but for the most part, they really volunteered to be my mentor. Like nobody ever needed, I didn't have to like twist any arms, and it's just the kindness in people's hearts. And that's been amazing. It hasn't been one mentor. It's definitely been many upon many upon many. And they've lifted me, they've pushed me, they've encouraged me. And I owe a lot to those people.
Are you still there?
I'm still there.
Okay, it's just because sometimes things freeze a little bit. But I was gonna say, Lauren, ever since I started doing this podcast a year ago, everybody in this industry has been really great with me, especially the people from the Buffalo market. They've all been willing to come on. I've been telling them my story, like I've told you before, and guys like John Murphy and Sal Capaccio have come on my podcast, and guys from WGR, and they've been all really great with me, and they've treated me like one of their own, and I've been able to build up contacts and even make some friendships off doing this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I know John and Sal, and both of them are great people, and both of them are people who've championed me in my career and were helpful to me during my time in Buffalo. I mean, both Sal and John were really kind and really supportive of everything I was doing.
So, and my stories is a little bit different from yours. I'm trying to do this later in life, and also I was looking at going to school for it, but I've had one professor told me that what I'm doing now with the podcast and building contacts is probably the best way for me to go. And plus, I'm doing volunteer work with Rogers TV. Hopefully, I'll be back with them very soon, and I keep picking up more stuff from them as well.
That's wonderful. I think your professor is right.
His name is Jim, and he's a longtime professor at Fanshawe College here in London, and he's the London Knights color analyst, and he's a super nice guy. Like I said, Lauren, everybody I've met on this podcast has been really great, and I'm very lucky.
That's awesome.
Okay, my next question I was going to ask you is, what was your first job in TV? And how important, this question I should have worded better, first job in TV, and how important was an internship doing some volunteer work with your career?
So I didn't do any volunteer work. So I'll start with the internship. My first internship was at CBS Sports. And then after that, I was at NBC. And then my first job in TV was, I had like a lot of like freelance jobs, and I worked for a show down here in Miami for a little bit. I did freelance for Fox Sports and all different stuff. But my first like real job in TV where I was really consistent and really grew and learned a lot was MSG Varsity, which was a high school sports network in the tri-state area. And it was, I looked very young for my age. I looked probably 15 when I was 23. So it actually it was hard to get other jobs because of that, but for a high school sports network, it was perfect. I fit right in with the kids, and it was really great. And so they wanted a mix of people who looked young and then more experienced veterans on the network. So it really was perfect. And I was there for a few years, and I really got to grow and learn. And there was a supportive community. That's where I met Leandra, who was great with me. And yeah, so that was my first experience. And internships are, of course, important. It's important to break into the industry, meet people, learn a little bit about the world you're getting into. It's really definitely vital. The more you can interact and more experience you get with people and the industry, the better.
Totally agree with you there. My next question for you is just one about I read this up on your bio. You were also a host reporter for Top Rank Boxing.
Yeah, I did that. I did that freelance before I moved to Buffalo, and I'm pretty sure I just emailed them, and they were like, yeah, sure, we need someone when we go to New York. This way we don't have to fly our person out from California. So yeah, they were really great. And I did it for a little bit, but then I got the job in Buffalo, so I really couldn't. There wasn't too many big boxing events in Buffalo, so I couldn't really do it then.
And I was reading up too, you were also into boxing, or you did some form of boxing?
I love boxing as a workout. That's my favorite workout.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
So,
it definitely keeps you in good shape.
oh yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I haven't done it in a little bit though, but I do love it. I've got gloves in my trunk. I got wraps. Yeah, I love to box. I've been doing it probably, but I always wanted to box since I was like a little girl. And my mother was like, no way. And, like kids go to college and they rebel. Like some people start drinking. Some people start going out all the time. I started boxing. That's what I did when I went to college. I was like, all right, I'm free. I'm going to go to a boxing gym.
Did you have a favorite boxer?
I mean, Muhammad Ali, who
you
does I mean, of course, I'm very into social issues. So I really respected what Muhammad Ali represented outside the ring.
Okay. I just wanted that. All right. I wanted to ask you about that. And then the next question, just a couple more, and then we'll get into your Unsealed, and we'll play that clip as well. I have, and I appreciate you showing that, sending it to me last night. What I was going to say, I was going to start with the Buffalo career before I get to the Cleveland stuff. What was it like working for WIVB, WNL in the Buffalo market for 3 years and covering sports in Western New York with the Bills and Sabres and Bandits and Bisons and the high school sports there?
It was amazing, but also challenging. I didn't have any anchoring experience when I moved to Buffalo, so I really learned to anchor on the air. And some people, well, not some people, a local newspaper critic who shall not be named was very, very critical of me. And that was hard in the beginning, but then there were so many people in Buffalo that stood up for me, that rallied for me, that encouraged me, that were kind to me. And it really strengthened me at my core, and it made me a better person, it made me a stronger person, and it made me really appreciate what Buffalo is about, that camaraderie, that love, that support, that kindness that so many people who I never even met in the community showed me. So that really is what I take with me I took with me when I left Buffalo. I think when I wrote my goodbye note to Buffalo and to viewers, I said, Buffalo may be known for its cold weather, but what I'll remember most is its warm people. And I still feel that way.
And I feel the same way too, because like I said, I mentioned all these guys from the market area. I told them what I was trying to do, and they've all been great. Even Keith Radford, before he retired, came on my podcast, and it was like, I can't believe I'm interviewing Buffalo broadcasting legend like him, and they treat you like one of your own. And then before the pandemic, I was over in Buffalo probably once a month for sporting events or shopping, and the people there are friendly, and everybody in the Buffalo market especially has been really great, and I'm glad they did the same for you.
Yeah, Buffalo is I think they call it the city of good neighbors, maybe. Is that Buffalo?
Yes, it is.
It's definitely the city of a lot of really just awesome, kind people, and the community really supports each other. And it's a great place with a ton of great people.
And I befriend Stu Boyer from formerly of Channel 2. And Stu's kind of been like a bit of a mentor to me online, and really good guy. And yeah, he's really supportive, and it feels like I've known him for years. So.
Yeah, he's
okay.
amazing.
Definitely. My next question for you, and then we're going to start getting into the Cleveland and then the Unsealed. What was your favorite story or interview you did for WIVB when you were in Buffalo for the 3 years? If you had a favorite one or most memorable one.
I'm sure I had a couple. One of my favorites was going to prison and doing a story about missionaries who go to prisons to play sports against inmates. And they use sports as a way to break down the social barrier. And then they teach them about religion before, after, maybe even in the middle of a sporting event. And we went to a maximum security prison to tell this story. And we went to maximum security prison. And it was just an eye-opening, incredible experience. I talked to 2 guys who were in prison for 30 years to life for murder. And it just wasn't what I expected. And it changed my perspective on the world, on life. I mean, one of the guys said that if he ever gets out, he wants to work in a hospice. And I said, why a hospice? Like, how did you go from killing someone to wanting to help people? And he's like, I don't know when the light bulb went off, but in prison here, I work in the hospice here. And at some point I realized I wanted to be a product of who I was, not where I came from. And he said, most of us here weren't born bad people. We were born into really bad environments, and we didn't have the fortitude to overcome that. And he said, a lot of kids, if they don't have a great athletic talent or a musical talent or brilliant in school, most people don't take the time to reach them. And he said every single kid could be reached. And I just thought that was really powerful, that this idea of most people aren't born bad people, they're born in bad environments. And it reminded me of why it's so important to volunteer, to give back, to help other people, and to make sure everyone has support and the educational opportunities and resources, because there's so many good people that took wrong turns because of unfortunate circumstances. And I'm not so quick to judge people anymore. Maybe I was. Maybe I don't think I ever wanted to judge people or was conscious of it, but I think in the back of our minds, sometimes we all instinctively judge people. And I think that it really changed the way I viewed a lot of things just talking to these guys. So that was really, really a great experience for me. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to tell that story.
I was going to say, you think that would be on YouTube? Because that's a story I would actually kind of like to watch on YouTube, or if there's a link for that.
It might be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't even know if I have it saved anywhere, but it might be. I don't know if WIVB puts their stories up on YouTube or not.
Okay.
I have to look, but I'm not.
That's good stuff.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And it really just opened my eyes to a world beyond my own. Because I think no matter who we are, we all live in our own little box to a certain degree. We all grow up in our own little box, and we really have to put ourselves out there and go to places we wouldn't normally go to really see a different perspective and a world outside of our own. And I think it's so important we do. And I think that creates a lot more compassion, compassion for others, and even more compassion for ourselves when we see the world from different lenses.
Were you a little bit nervous or scared before you went into that maximum prison? A little bit?
So I wasn't. And then they sat us down before we met with everybody, and they were like, if they kidnap you, here's what we're going to do. We had to go through a plan of worst case scenario. I'm like, oh, this is a little scary. This conversation I didn't see coming. But I really wasn't. Once I met the guys, once I started talking to them, I just wasn't. I mean, one guy joked with me. He goes, and he was a little creepy, but he said, have you ever been around so many dangerous people before? I go, you're dangerous? Nobody told me. I started joking with them. And we were, it was a set. They only allow guys who are on their best behavior to be a part of this. And then it was on a baseball field, but we were all just sitting on picnic tables and hanging out. And it was a really, no one was cuffed. Everyone was playing baseball. And it was a really relaxed environment, and I wasn't scared at all. I really wasn't. I mean, people, they were all really kind to me and respectful, and just grateful that I was there and listening to their stories. And I actually did the story again when I was in Cleveland, and that was a medium security prison. So it was even more lax, and there were just people walking around everywhere. And the prison guard said, hey, do you want to have a seat here, away from everybody? I was like, no, I'll sit on the bench with everyone else. And so I sat right with all the other, with all the inmates. And I started talking to them, and I learned all their stories and stuff. And everyone had a different story. And a couple of them ended up reaching out to me when they got out or whatever, and emailed me just thanking me for treating them respectfully and with kindness. And some of them even signed up for the Unsealed, which I thought was really powerful and touching and kind. But it if you've only ever known the people around you and people who are like you, your heart is like almost closed. Like it really opens your heart when you see people who are just different than you, or in different circumstances than you, and you learn about them. It opens your mind, it opens your heart, it creates compassion, and it creates it kind of ends like stigmas or preconceived notions. So I just really recommend people talking to people that are different than them.
I was going to say thank you for sharing this, Lauren, because every podcast I learned something new or a different story from my guests, and I really appreciate you sharing that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay, we just got one question for your Cleveland experience, and then we'll get into the video clip for the Unsealed, and we'll get you to talk a little bit more for that. Are you okay for time for a little bit longer?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, no problem. I always check with my guests. Now, after you left Buffalo, you ended up in Cleveland. So how did you come about the sports reporter job for WEWS-TV in Cleveland? And what was the experience like covering sports in the Cleveland market?
So that's an interesting story. I applied online, it was an opening online. And I swear to you, I did not finish filling out that application. I don't remember pressing send. And then like 2 days later, I got a call from Cleveland. And I was like, what the heck? And they were like, hey, we got your, I'm like, you got I didn't even finish filling it out. Like, how did you get it? And so I, to this day, do not know how this application got sent, because I fell asleep. I did not finish filling this thing out. And so it was really weird. And then, and then I interviewed, and I interviewed on the phone, I think first, or maybe on Zoom. And then I was called in for an in-person interview. And then I left the interview, and I was driving from Cleveland to Columbus to visit my aunt. And this is the same day of the interview. And I got a call saying, hey, I figured why make you wait? You got the job. So I got the job like 2 hours after I left the interview, which was pretty cool. And I was like, and my dad was driving. He drove me to the interview, and he was next to me. I was like, hey, I just got the job. And he's like, what, already? So that was pretty cool. But my first job they offered me the job while I was still interviewing with them. So I've been a little lucky in that sense. A lot of my jobs I got a instant gratification. My first job, they had me interview with like 5 people. And on the 5th person, he goes, relax a little. You already got the job. I'm like, really? So that was cool for that job. And then in Cleveland, I got the job on my way home. So that was awesome.
I was going to say, Cleveland's similar to Buffalo in some regards, or?
Super similar fan base, similar, Lake Erie, super passionate sports fans, super nice people. I mean, the biggest difference was I had the opportunity to cover LeBron in Cleveland, which was pretty cool. In 2016, of course, the Cavs won a championship, and also I got to cover a World Series. Unfortunately, the Indians didn't win. The Cubs won that year, but just the experience to cover a World Series was incredible. And I feel really fortunate to have had those experiences and literally get to witness history. And Cleveland ended a 52-year drought while I was there, championship drought. So the city was electric. People who were from Cleveland flew back to Cleveland to be a part of the parade and the festivities and the games. And I felt like Cleveland was the coolest place to be in 2016. Like, it really was amazing. And the city really was so electric and so energetic and so happy.
I was going to say, Lauren, I know you weren't there. You were there 3 years approximately. Did you have any dealings with the late, great Fred McLeod, who did the Cavaliers games on Fox Sports TV Ohio?
Yeah, so I was there for actually 4 years, 2015 to 2019. Okay. And I did cross paths with him, but I just never had an opportunity to really talk with him or engage with him. But I did see him, at games and things of that nature, but I didn't know him like personally. And I don't think I ever really got the opportunity to have an extensive conversation with him, other than maybe like, hi, how are you? Nothing beyond that.
Okay, because I befriended his wife Beth, who works weather in Cleveland, and and she knows what I'm doing with my podcasting, and I always admired his work when he was in Detroit, and then with Cleveland, and I'm so glad that before he passed away too soon, that he got to call an NBA championship for his hometown Cavaliers in 2016.
Yeah, I used to see Beth at the games a lot. I actually saw her more than I saw him.
She's a huge sports fan, and she's a super nice person, and she's given me some good advice on here too. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna show that video clip and then we'll get into the Unsealed.
Sure.
Okay, no problem. This is a clip that you sent me last night. Give me 1 second. The great thing about StreamYard is I can help promote my guests on here with video clips and all that. So,
Oh, awesome. I love it.
yep, 1 second and we'll get this going. Can you hear it okay?
The sound is not coming through for me.
Because I can hear it, but you can't hear it at all?
Mm-mm.
Oops. Okay. Just give me 1 second and we'll try to fix the volume on this.
Sounds good.
Okay. Sorry about that. I apologize. I'll see if I can turn up the volume more for you.
I don't need to hear it. As long as it works for you, I've heard it 1,000 times. I know by heart.
Oh, okay, because like I said, all right, no problem. Then I'll just play it again because I can hear it loud and clear. I was hoping you could hear it, but okay. So I want me to go ahead and still play the clip?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do. Okay, we'll just add it back on. I'm still learning all this technology.
You and me both.
Okay, Lauren, thank you so much for letting me share that clip.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for watching and thank you for being a part of our community.
Well, thank you. And that's going to lead to my question about the Unsealed. How did you end up coming about creating the Unseal, and why did you decide this is something you wanted to pursue after your sports reporter career in Buffalo and Cleveland?
So it was actually pretty interesting. I was up for a job with MSG, Madison Square Garden, as a host for one of the hockey teams, one of the NHL teams. And it was post-game hosting. And it was down to me and one other person. Like, I flew to New York, I auditioned, and like, this was the dream I had when I was 10 years old. This was what I had been wanting. This is where the dream started, Madison Square Garden. So I was like, this should have been everything I ever wanted. And I auditioned for the job, and then it was like a 2-week period until I found out if I got it or not. And I remember being more scared to get the job than to not, because I had become so passionate about so many other things, social justice, storytelling, advocacy, and all these other things. And I realized, like, how am I going to become the person that I really want to become and do the things that I really want to do if I get this job? It's going to set me out on a path that maybe isn't the path I really want anymore. And I ended up not getting the job, and I remember feeling relieved. And I was like, okay, I don't want what I always wanted. Like, my childhood dream is maybe just that, my childhood dream. And it kind of, something clicked in my mind that this wasn't really what I wanted anymore. I had done what I wanted, and now I wanted something else. And in 2017, I had written an open letter to sexual assault survivors. Unfortunately, when I was 16 years old, I was drugged and sexually assaulted by 2 complete strangers. Didn't know their names, still don't really know what they look like because I was assaulted in the dark. I really knew nothing about, I don't know who did it. And it was pretty traumatic. And I didn't talk about it for 9 years at all. And then I eventually told my family and friends. And then a few years later in 2017, I decided that there was still more I had to do with this. There was still something about it was still staying with me and echoing in my head. And I decided that I wanted to help other people. And so I decided to write an open letter to sexual assault survivors, telling them what happened to me when I was 16 years old. And I wrote this letter, I published it on my station's website, and it went viral across the whole country. Like, I was getting messages from all over the place, and people were retweeting it and sharing it. And it was before the Me Too movement. So this wasn't something that was really in the forefront of, it wasn't something that was like part of a lot of conversations. It was still a little bit almost taboo to talk about, and made people, quote unquote, uncomfortable, which is, I hate when people say it makes them uncomfortable. So I'm like, well, it's uncomfortable being sexually assaulted. So, and the only way we're going to fix that is if we have these uncomfortable conversations. But so I wrote this letter, when it goes viral, and it felt very empowering, freeing. I felt relieved. I felt a release. I felt like any weight that I was carrying because of this assault was all lifted. And, it was almost like I had a skeleton in my closet. And for all these years, I was keeping the skeleton in my closet. But it wasn't my skeleton. I didn't do anything wrong. I was assaulted. So why am I carrying a skeleton in my closet? So when I wrote this letter, I was like almost giving the skeleton back to its rightful owner. Like, here, world, you take this. This is on you. This is not on me. And so letting that out, releasing all that emotion and my story was so powerful for me. I decided that I wanted to help other people do the same. And so after I didn't get that job at MSG and I was like happy, I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And basically I created my dream job, and my dream job is the Unsealed. And the Unsealed is a platform where I help people write and share open letters about their lives. And we talk about all different subjects, from racism to sexism to chasing your dreams. We've done stories with people who have autism, and all different stories, and all of them are inspirational in one way or another. They promote compassion, they promote strength, they promote equality. And I feel like I found this thing that is meant for me, and it's scary and it's hard, but I feel like it's so perfect for me that it has to work. Like, it has to work. And it's one step at a time, and I've grown and I've done well so far, but I feel like there's so much more to do. And I'm scared all the time, but I also have so much faith that this is going to grow, and this is going to keep blossoming. And I'm really proud of what I created so far, but I also know that, like, this is just the beginning.
I was going to say, did you have any help when you created the Unsealed, or was this basically all on your own?
So initially I started it with a friend, and then she didn't really have the time for it. She still worked a full-time job, and I was going into this full-time. So I ended up, it was before we even had a bank account. It was pretty early on. I just, whatever money she had put into it, paid her her cut, or paid her what she put in. So she got her money back. And then from there, I built it by myself. It was really my baby. And I was really lucky. I made an initial investment in the company. And then after that, I've been able to build and grow the company with the supporters and money that's coming in.
Have you had other people from other countries come on your site and contribute, like Canada or from other countries as well?
Yeah, I mean, we have members from all across the world. We have members in London. We have members in Australia. We have members in Canada. We've had hits in 193 countries, and I think there's only 198 countries. So, I mean, I was just looking at our hits yesterday, and we had hits in like 30 different countries just yesterday. Like from, I said, oh, we got a hit in Mali, and my dad goes, Mali, are you doing drugs? Like what? And I go, no, Mali in Africa. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, he heard Mali and thought the drugs, but we're getting, all these different countries, all these small countries, big countries, all over the world. That places, I feel like even though I don't actually go to these places, I feel like through my site that I'm traveling all over the world. I mean, we were in Pakistan yesterday, Israel. I posted on my Twitter yesterday, but it's just crazy that that's just one day that we get so much traction from around the world. So that's been, I always just say I'm going to change the world someday, which is, hopefully collectively as a community, we help create change in the world. I don't want to be so egotistical that I think that I can single-handedly change the world, but it's just cool to see that something you created has a worldwide reach. So that's been pretty cool.
And I also put your website on here as well for my audience to check out your website after.
Yes, please check it out. And we can help people like we did with you. We help people share their stories. We can promote what they're doing. As long as it's inspirational and doesn't talk badly about anyone, we will help you guys write it. We also have writing contests, and we give away lots of money. We have 2 contests up right now that are active. And so far, no one, we just posted them the other day, but so far no one has entered. And we're trying to give away $650. So make sure you check it out and you enter. And you can always message me if you have any questions.
Okay, because the one with the McNabb signed football is the one I'd be interested in, especially.
So no one has entered that one out yet, and I haven't been promoting that one as much. So definitely enter because there's a very good chance of winning.
Okay, and then if I do it, I just send it to you, like email it to you then?
So if you click on the contest page, you'll see all the rules, and then in the bottom it says submit your story here.
Okay, definitely. I will definitely look into that because, like I said, I'm a huge Eagles fan, and McNabb's one of the top 3 quarterbacks in Eagles history. And that's great. And my last question for you on the Unsealed, what do you enjoy about the Unsealed the most? And also, this is a second-handed question. What was the hardest aspect of starting up your own business, if there was one?
I'm going to start with the first part of the question. What do you enjoy most about the Unsealed? And it's really telling people stories and seeing them feel empowered by sharing their story, and just the effect of that it has on people. Just like I felt relieved and I felt empowered by sharing my story, I'm now able to give that gift to other people as I help amplify their voices, amplify their stories, and help them express themselves. That's really my favorite part. And I've met some incredible people, and I've learned about some incredible journeys. And each and every day, the people I tell stories about inspire me and teach me about the way I want to live my life and the attitude I want to have, and the perspective. And it widens my perspective in so many ways, and creates more and more compassion and understanding for other people. So that's definitely my favorite part. And the hardest aspect of starting up your own business, there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of trial and error. You have to just do things to try, knowing that, like, hey, this might not work. I might spend money on this and it might be a complete, fail, but at least I'll know whether or not it works. And so that trial and error aspect, that, I think this is, I realize I know nothing. Like, I realize you just have to try things. You put an idea out there. You don't know if it's going to work or not. I don't even know what story is going to do well. I'll put a story out there and think this is okay. And then that's the story that goes viral like crazy. You really don't know. And so I think I just kind of throw in darts and keep trying different things and putting out different stories is the way to go. And then the other hard part is the uncertainty. You don't know where this is going. You don't know what's going to happen. And I always feel like if you're not growing, you're shrinking. And so if you're shrinking, it's pretty scary because you're like, oh no, I just built this, like, stay, keep growing. And that part stresses me out and scares me. But I love it. I tell my parents, I'm like, on my worst day, I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. It is for me. Feeds my soul. It feeds my heart. It is what is meant for me. And I know, I just have faith that this will work out because it feels so right.
And what you're saying too is it's important to have a passion, and sort of like with my podcast, this is something I have a passion for. Every time I do a podcast show, I get kind of like, I feel like I'm playing sports again, because I
Yeah.
really enjoy this, talking to guests, asking them questions, and just building a rapport and their trust with me as well.
Yeah, I agree. The interaction with people is just amazing, and getting to talk to people and learn about their stories is so cool.
And I've been lucky. I had one guest from Australia come on. This technology also has been a blessing as well, because you can talk to everybody around the world.
Yeah, that's super cool too.
Definitely. Okay, just one last question for you, Lauren. And I just wanted to ask you, do you have any advice for those looking to pursue a career in radio, television, or even just something they want to do as a career? And where can my audience find you again on social media?
Okay, so start with question 1. Any advice? So, just keep getting your reps. If you mess up, it's okay. Everyone's messed up. I've probably messed up everything you can ever imagine on live TV, but just keep going, keep working at it, keep growing, keep trying, be really persistent, be really resilient, be really perseverant. And if you love something, don't let anyone tell you that you shouldn't, couldn't, or can't do something. So that would be my advice for those pursuing a career in radio or TV or broadcasting. And then where can people find me? They can find me everywhere. I'm at theunsealed.com. And if you go to the bottom corner of the site, there is a little message box and you can message me directly. Instagram, I have Instagram for both myself and for the company. For the Unsealed, THE.unsealed. For myself, it's Laur, LAUR .BRILL, and that's Instagram. Twitter is _Lauren Brill, and then also the Unsealed, at the Unsealed on Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, and then I'm on Facebook too. You can just type in Lauren Brill or the Unsealed. I think my Facebook, if you put it in the link, it's Lauren Brill Sports for my personal page, and then it's just the Unsealed the Unsealed page for the Unsealed.
Okay, that's great. And I'm hoping to get my Facebook account back at some point. That's another story, but
no.
They took it away a week ago for something I allegedly posted, which I never did. And problem with Facebook, it is almost impossible to get a hold of them to appeal and explain to them that you never posted that. So now I'm going to I have a friend, thankfully, she makes websites. So I think in the future, I'm going to create my own website and do all my stuff there instead of on Facebook, unfortunately. I know. So
crazy. What did they think you posted?
Something I'll have to send you a message, but it's totally false and it's wrong. And I've tried to contact them and appeal their decision. So I'm just lucky I can still do my podcast and all my platforms.
I think you can email them on the site.
I did that as well, so I'm hoping to hear back from them, but it's been 8 days now, and my sports blog where I put all my sports stuff is on there as well. So I'm now having to come up with a new way to get my podcast back on the air. Like with a website, I think a website would be the best thing for me. But yeah, unfortunately with Facebook, I would tell people that are on any social media website, also change your passwords to, I would say maybe weekly or bi-weekly, just to be on the safe side.
So you were hacked?
It's possible. It's possible.
Oh, that's so crazy.
And they pulled it without even telling me, and then I'll have to send you a message. But the reason they
start a new Facebook page with a new email,
they won't even let me do that. I can't get on their site at all.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and so I'm just lucky I still got all my other social media platforms, so that's why I'm thinking about now creating my own website as well.
You should. You definitely should.
Definitely. So I hope I get that result. But Lauren, I was going to say thank you so much for giving me some time today to come on live with CDP podcast. And I loved your stories and ask you some questions about your career and talking about the Unsealed.
My pleasure. And congratulations on the podcast. I'm really happy for you. And thank you for being a part of our Unsealed community.
Well, thank you again. And like I said, we'll definitely keep in touch on social media and on the Unsealed as well. And I'll see if I can maybe get some of my friends to look at your page as well.
That would mean the world to me. I would so appreciate that.
Okay. Well, you have a great night, Lauren, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast today with Lauren Brill, the founder and creator of the Unsealed. And again, you can find Lauren on all social media platforms on Twitter at underscore Lauren Brill. And you can check out her website at theunsealed.com as well. So she had a career with WIVB in Buffalo and WEWS Channel 5 in Cleveland as a sports reporter. And now she runs her business called The Unsealed. So please check it out on the internet as well. And guys, before I go, you guys can now follow me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok at live with CDP, and I hope you guys enjoy my page there. Guys, I'm still trying to get my Facebook account back. So it's been 8 days now, and I'm hoping to get it back at some point. But like I told Lauren in my podcast, just to be on the safe side, guys or girls, just make sure on any of your social media accounts, you probably change your passwords once or twice a month or whatever, just to be on the safe side. Like I said, it's very difficult trying to get a hold of Facebook to appeal their decision because I think they're in the wrong. But guys, I'm still lucky I can still do my podcast on this platform. And like I said, guys, I want to say thank you to everyone who's watched this on my YouTube channel today, on my Twitter page at Christy Pame. And guys, you can now watch live with CDP podcast on Twitch. That's TWITCH. So if you guys go on the Twitch live streaming, my podcast is there now. So I still got my 3 platforms for my live podcast. And just to let you guys know, the Live with CDP podcast, the audio version is always downloaded after each show, is available on Google Podcast, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and Castbox as well. And I also download my audio version of Live with CDP podcast to my LinkedIn page too. If you guys want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'll just put my thing on here for LinkedIn. You guys can follow me on LinkedIn at Chris Pame. Just type in Chris Pame on LinkedIn and we can connect on you as well. Like I said, guys, and also you guys can email me at cpame, that's cpame19@gmail.com. Anyways, guys, like I said, I really appreciate everybody watching today. And like I said, hopefully I'll be back on Facebook at some point. But in case I'm not, I am in the stages of having a friend help me develop my own website on here. So stay tuned for Live with CDP website in the future as well. Guys, just to let you know, my next Live with CDP podcast is to be announced. I've got some guests lined up for next week. I don't have any more for this week so far, but I do have at least probably 2, possibly 3 podcasts possibly next week. And one of them is from the Buffalo Bisons, and the other 2 are from the radio industry. But it's just a matter of getting days and times next week. So if something changes and I can do another podcast this week, guys, I will let you know as well. But like I said, I'm looking forward to some more podcasts, and I've got some people coming on from the radio industry and one gentleman from the Buffalo Bisons. And I'm looking at getting a play-by-play announcer from an NFL team coming on soon as well. So before I wrap this up, guys, I'm just going to look at the comments. Mark Richardson. Nice, fun guest. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it, Mark. You're one of my original viewers on here. Thank you so much, Mark. Can you check out Lauren on her social media accounts and maybe check out the Unsealed website as well, Mark, if you would like to. But thank you again so much for watching, Mark. I really appreciate it. And like I said, guys, look forward to doing my next podcast. Just not sure quite what date and time yet. And I do have more guests coming on soon, especially next week. It looks like I'm going to have maybe 2 to 3 podcasts next week. So, all right, guys, I'm going to call this a podcast, but I just want to say again, thank you everybody for watching Live with CDP podcast today. And I hope you enjoyed my my guest, Lauren Brill. And please check her out again on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and her website, theunsealed.com. Anyways, guys, like I said, I'm going to call it a show, and we'll talk to you guys hopefully soon. And just to let you guys know, the Guelph Nighthawks have another home game this Sunday, August 1st at 2 o'clock at the Sleeman Center. So the next Guelph Nighthawks home game is Sunday, August 1st at 2 o'clock. And I will be doing some volunteer work that day. If you guys are at the game, please say hello to me as well. All right, guys. I'm going to talk to you guys very soon. And again, thank you for watching Live with CDP. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night, guys. Thanks again for watching Live with CDP.